Hi everyone, project number 2 is here, and this week we are doing some mindful doodling. I'm sure everyone has experienced a time where you were on the phone or in class or something and you find yourself just doodling something random in the margin of your notebook or on a post-it note or something, but you aren't fully paying attention to what you're doodling. It's just kind of happening. But the purpose of this week is to be mindful about your doodle and to be engaged in what you're doing and focused. So if you can cut off any other distractions around you, that would be even better. Because a lot of people find that in the process of making these repetitious patterns while they doodle, they kind of find that it becomes a rhythmic motion and it really relaxes your mind. Some people find it really meditative, or just a great way to be creative without any pressure because it's just doodling. There's no wrong way to do it. So we will be making a doodle similar to this kind of thing where we're going to draw a shape and section it off and try out some different doodles in each section. And I'll walk you through a couple of them, but you're free to make up your own as well. So let me show you what's in your bag. This week you received a square piece of watercolor paper and a square piece of cardstock and a rectangular piece of watercolor paper and a rectangular piece of cardstock, as well as a small scrap piece of watercolor paper. You will also need your watercolor palette, of course, and your paintbrush and a cup of water, as well as some kind of adhesive, glue stick, glue dots, whatever you have to glue these together. You will need a pencil with a good eraser and a drawing pen, and I have a few recommendations for the pen. You could use a regular Sharpie for the outlines and to break it up. But for the doodles themselves, I would recommend something with a more fine tip. So you could use one of the ultra fine tip Sharpies like that, or my personal favorite thing to draw with is a micron pen. They look like this, and they have a very fine tip as well. Really good for drawing and being very precise. And you can get these at any craft store. But if you don't have those things, that's okay. You could still use a regular kind of pen. I will tell you though, that is when I would recommend using this little scrap paper, because it would be heartbreaking if you made your whole beautiful doodle with a pen and then you go over it with the watercolor only to find that the water is causing the ink to run. That would be terrible. So test it first, make a little doodle, go over it with the watercolors. If it bleeds and runs everywhere, maybe try again and let the ink dry for longer before you go in with the water, or consider finding a different pen to use. But I will tell you that with the microns and the Sharpies, I use them all the time for things like this, and I've never had a problem with that. So these might be good, but experiment, because you probably have something at home already that would work fine. Also, if you really enjoy this mindful doodling and you want some more inspiration, we do have quite a few Zentangle and doodling books at the library that I would highly recommend checking out. They break down a lot of the really intricate patterns and designs so that they're really easy to do, and they give you a lot of project ideas as well. So if this is something you're into, we would be more than happy to help find a doodling book for you. So let's get doodling. So I'll show you this one again up close. You can see that I did a pattern here that kind of looks like fish scales, and another organic kind of pattern up here with circles and little dots. Over here is more structured and geometric. And in this section, I drew some lines intersecting and overlapping and filled in the negative space in the back with black ink. So those are a few ideas. The first step is to take your pencil and just make 4 small dots in the corners. And now you want to think of how you want to connect those dots to make your outline. So it could be a curving line. It could be a wavy line. It could be straight. And if you want them really straight, you could use a ruler, or you could put a big loop in there, zigzags, whatever you want to do. When I made this one, I kind of kept them similar, just all curving lines all the way around. This one is another one that I made that's got 2 loops, so it can be however you want. It can be swirling organic shapes, or it can be more hard angles, however you want it to look. And then you're going to break this up into sections. So for this one, I did those curving lines to break it up into 4 sections. For this one, my lines kind of went all over the place. And for this one, I'm gonna make a angled line, maybe break that up into one more section, and kind of an S-shaped line. And once you do that, you can experiment with different ways to hold it, because you might find that it works better from a different angle. So play around with that. And when you are satisfied with your angle, we will start the next step. So now we get to do the actual doodling. So think of some patterns or doodles that you want to incorporate in here. One that I like is, it kind of looks like rainbows. You could go like this. And you're gonna continue this pattern in the whole space that you've made for yourself, all the way. Let's see. And we're just doing it in pencil right now, so it's okay if it's not perfect. We'll take our time and clean it up when we go over it with the pen. So I kind of went outside the line there. That's fine. This is all going to be erased. So also don't draw too hard. Don't press too hard with the pencil. And the next thing I'm going to do, you could leave it like this, or if you want to make it a little more intricate, I'm going to add a couple of marks inside. And I'm going to keep that going for the whole thing. Okay, so that one is done. Now I want to do this small section, and I think I'm going to make some kind of swirling lines. It might end up kind of looking like octopus tentacles. I'm going to overlap them a little and kind of tangle them together. And when I go in with the pen, I think I'm going to color in all the negative space. So I've been doing a lot of designs with curved lines. So the next one, I'm going to do some more shapes with pointy edges. So let's see. Here's a really simple one. You're just gonna make a grid. And again, feel free to use a ruler if you want it to be precise. And then you're just going to color in these areas right here. And keep going, and I'm going to do all of them going this way. Now that all of the sections are filled in with doodles, I'm going to outline, and I'm using my regular Sharpie to do all the outlines and those lines that we made, breaking up the shape into smaller sections. And once I'm done with this, I'm gonna grab that fine tip pen or marker that I have, and then I will slowly and carefully trace around all of my doodles. My thick lines are all traced. Now I'm going to use my micron pen or my ultrafine Sharpie and go through and do all of these lines. And I'm really gonna take my time and clean them up. Okay, now I'm ready to paint. I erased all the stray pencil marks, everything is traced. So now I can go in with the watercolors. And don't forget the techniques I taught you last week with the salt and the saran wrap, because you may want to incorporate those somehow into this. Otherwise, paint it however you like. So I painted this first section, and now if I do the section right next to it, there's a chance that the colors from this one will blend with the colors with this one because this is still wet. And if you don't want that to happen, then just let this dry completely before you do the surrounding areas. So just to be safe, I'm gonna do one of these sections so that I'm not touching this and this can fully dry. All right, I'm all done painting. Here is my first one. This one I stuck with cool colors like blue and purple. I did a blending effect right here, which I think works cool. I did a lot of paint down here and then mostly just water to like fade the color out. I also put some salt on this section and just kind of mingled the blue and purple together right here. So I like how it looks, especially on the blue cardstock. For my other one, I used all the colors, and I like how this one turned out too. I tried to balance the warm colors across from the cool colors, and I like how it turned out with fading some of the colors together and highlighting certain sections with darker shades and lighter shades. So I'm happy with both of mine. I hope that you are inspired by some of the things I showed you, and again, let us know if you want to look at any of our doodling books. And I want to thank everybody who sent me a picture on email or through Facebook of their bookmark from last week. I really loved getting to see all of them, and I hope you guys do that again this week, because we really get to use a lot more creativity, I think, in this week's project. So I'm really excited to see what everybody did with it. So have fun, and I will see you next week for a new project.